It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Tokpe Mark Adige. I feel very energized this morning. I did a 1-hour walk. I'm feeling pumped.
I'm feeling yourself.
As in, how you doing, Obiajulu? I love what you're wearing. I know it sounds so busy.
That's how we do. Ever busy.
That's
how we do.
Very soon we'll start jury by BC.
Calm down now. Make our market the one.
I can't believe you.
Usually you don't go.
Yes.
No, please. I'm just realizing that I have to be grounded first before, reaching out more. Yeah. I'm grateful to God. I'm winding down. Holidays coming. Looking forward to it. Basically. So yesterday I took my time. I walked. I had to style my remaining hairs so that even while I'm on vacation, I'll be selling.
Market can be selling.
To the warehouse. Market is going on. We're not closing shop. We are selling.
Wi-Fi money. Anywhere there's Wi-Fi, we are making money.
Yes,
please. Good morning, Tokwe. Okay, we are back home. Camp is over. My daughter has a backlog of work from other courses that she's taking.
Wow.
And she needs mommy to help her to catch up. So we're not catching up. That's the honest truth, because I don't have the time. I hope that she'll do the next class. But somebody sent me an SMS this morning. It says, one number 09078114659 says that I got a gift of 85,800 from the NASCO COVID-19 support fund. And he put a code number 3131. And he put a name, say I should call Mr. Gabriel on 09067294771 to claim my payment. I know that if I got the funds, they will have my BVN and it will be my account. So this one, in case you get SMSs like this, I'm Mr. Gabriel. God is watching you. Thanks, Bosh.
It's scam.
It's a scam.
It's a scam.
Yeah,
there are too many of them out there. Yeah. Too many.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine, great. My weekend was good. As you know, I'd mentioned that my daughter would be on radio and TV, and she did amazing.
We trust.
Yes, I mean, they were so impressed with her. They're like, she's so smart. You should get her out more. And I've been actually, considering it and not so comfortable with letting her out so young. I mean, the way the world is. So they're like, as long as you properly monitor and supervise, maybe just let her be herself.
Beyonce.
She really loved it. She was a bit nervous when we got there, but they didn't even let me into the booth with her. They told me to stay outside, not even so that she doesn't see me, and she did so great.
But we know Aima now. Aima is
she has the
glam. She has everything. The attitude is there.
I'm so happy that you...
On my way there, I noticed something. See, Nigerians, in the mighty name of Jesus, when cyclists are cycling, doing their cycle, you don't drive right in their midst. It's unfair. You can see these are cyclists, doing their... Yes, and they had... as a group, and they had their proper stuff on. So you know that these are in a group and they're doing maybe a competition or something, and then you decide that in between them, that's where you want to pass. It's not right, it's not fair. We did that when we did one of these marathons where we had boys just running in between all the athletes, the runners, sprinters, it's not right. There's an etiquette for the way this thing is. You run beside them, behind them, but not right in their midst.
Kindness, a bit of kindness will go a long way. But how are you? I'm really, really good. I started reading Blue Ocean Strategy Revised Edition. So I know I read the original edition around like 2010. And, it was helpful with my makeup when I was in makeup then. But now I'm in a space where I'm wondering, I need new strategy. I've been praying. And, I just felt, let me just read a book. And I picked up the new edition of Blue Ocean Strategy. And it's just like light bulb after light bulb. And reconsidering who is my market with real estate. Should I just focus on individuals, or should I talk to businesses? Maybe everybody is talking to individuals. Why don't we change the model and do business to business with real estate? So knowledge is power, guys. I know that you're praying. Just read. Yes. Read and do. It's very important, But let's take a break. When we come back, we will now read what is happening in Nigeria over the weekend.
Nothing much is happening. We're fine.
We're fine, right? We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to be starting the front page review, and we're starting with The Nation. We want to know what's been happening. First major headline, electronic transmission of results stays. That's from INEC, no manual system next year. Why inflation won't drop now by experts? $418 million Paris Club refund row. Governors knock consultant. PDP crisis. Wike insists on IU sack, makes concessions. APC campaign. We have Keyamo, Alake, Ononuga to lead media directorate. SEC seeks tax exemption for corporate bonds. My faith in judiciary unshaken, says Oyetola. Welfare. Resident doctors serve 2 weeks ultimatum over welfare. Civil society to mobilize against ASU, and reps take NPA probe to London. So what are we starting with?
I could start with the major headlines.
Okay.
So INEC is saying that the era of manual transmission of election results is gone forever in Nigeria. The electronic transmission of poll results, the electoral umpire said, has come to stay. So the INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Mr. Festus Okoye, said he realized that he had to clarify his position concerning this. He said that there had been newspaper headlines that misinterpreted when he was trying to explain INEC's role going forward for this election, and he went around misinterpreted it in a way that seemed that he was saying that the electronic transmission of our votes was not going to be used in the 2023 election. But he's saying that it is here to stay, and that it's here to stay because this type electronic transmission of our votes gives it credibility and transparency. So it's going nowhere. And then he's talking to Nigerians. He says, don't just go off a headline. Read. And then we also have a place where you can read up on our guidelines, how we do. We explain everything. Instead, seek the proper information. But he's here to make sure that every Nigerian understands that this electronic transmission is here to stay. And I guess this is also a word to media, especially newspaper headlines. I understand that they tend to put some headlines so that you can just attract readership. But we should be responsible when we do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true.
So I have the $418 million. This story,
You have still been following this. Leave this.
I don't know how I missed the parts of the consultant. Network was speaking on behalf of the consultants.
Okay.
Accused the governors of having received a $100 million gift claim to sponsor election. Mm-hmm. So next one governor come vex. All the governors forum, they now vex. They now responded and released all the names of the consultants and told them. And there's a subsisting Supreme Court judgment that says that the funds of states cannot be attached to any payment, any federal government settlement. And so they're asking them, you go to court and see if the court will give you access to attach state funds for this payment. They named them. First of all, is Ned Munir, who is claiming $68 million of this money. They can't break down the rest because the rest did not attach. Let me not name them, but read the Nation for the follow of this.
If you leave us, give it to PG. So the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NAD, they have served a 2-week ultimatum to the federal and state government to press home the demand of the members. They said one of the reasons that they are going to be stalling on this, waiting another 2 weeks, is because they've seen the body language of government. It seems like government is trying to respond to them. So this additional 2 weeks will give government the time to finalize everything that they have promised them. And they are saying that they are asking the federal government to implement and begin payment of the 2022 Medical Residency Training Fund in full to the members in the old template. While the shortfall, they have to review the template and let it be computed and incorporated into the 2023 budget and paid in arrears. So in 2 weeks, let's see what the federal government will do about it.
We don't need an extra challenge on all the things that we're already going through. The Nation interviewed a few economists concerning the inflation challenges, and the report is it's going to get worse before it gets better. That's based on all the indices, major issues that we're facing, the speculation against the naira by people. People are calculating and speculating how far the naira will drop, and also the issue of about 22% increase in the food basket challenges we're facing. There's a lot of pressure from our surrounding Francophone countries on Nigeria for food, surprisingly. And we also have the challenge of political spending. There's a lot of political spending that will go on between now and the 2023 election. So they are not foreseeing that the inflation will go down until probably after the election. So they say Nigerians should brace for the challenges, the high cost of diesel, power, gas, solid fuel, forex importation. You know, all of this would continue to increase the price of inflation. Yes, and that would really help, you know. Moving on to the Punch, major headline. 578 days strike. Angry lecturers dumping varsities. ASU laments. Government shadow treatment pushing lecturers out of varsity system. That's from the ASU president. In other news, military ends siege on Somali hotel, 21 dead. Terrible picture that you can see as is really bad. Moving on to other news, black marketer's wife, children die in Lagos explosion. 353 Kirikiri inmates on death row, says NCOS. And we have Ikoyi building, subscribers sue Lagos, seek compensation. 1 trillion naira spent on steel imports. Ajaokuta takes 21 billion naira. Undisbursed loan push Nigeria's World Bank debt to $21 billion. Federal government concludes takeover of 4 discos. Malami has abandoned Attorney General of the Federation role, says the NGF. Many CSOs are PDP members in disguise. And finally, it's the, let's start with the human interest story.
Okay, so a black marketer, his name is Mr. David Olabanji. He lost his wife and his 2 children to an explosion. He's described, this happened at the Antata area of Satellite Town in Lagos State. They said that Mr. David deals with adulteration of petroleum products. So he would sell petrol, diesel, oils, all sorts of petroleum products. And on this particular day, his wife had come to, the wife and children actually live in Ibadan. They came to visit while he and his wife were outside, and it's alleged that he was adulterating his products. The children were inside, and an explosion went off. The wife quickly rushed in to try to save the children, but unfortunately, she died in the fire with the children. The father also, they said, tried to get in but couldn't, but he also sustained some burns, and he's been taken to the hospital. You know, I was just wondering if this is something he was doing with nobody being aware, but the neighbors say they are aware of what he does. In fact, he's the go-to person in their community for when there's no oil, no petrol, any of those products. He's the person that they go to for this product, and how unfortunate that the day that his wife and children come to visit, this happened.
Oh, gosh.
So, yes, this is really sad, you know, that this happened, but was he involved in adulteration of, you know, petroleum products, and the community was aware?
Honestly, we just overlook some negative things, and the impact is far-reaching.
That's the moral of
the story. The impact is far-reaching.
So, I wanted to take the discourse. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, had put together or inaugurated the newly constituted board of the Nigerian Electricity Liability Management Company, NEMCO, and this company is taking over 4 discos. These 4 discos, of course, are some of the discos who have been failing. I have another story in the Sun, I think, of, you know, how much they're owing the banks now. And he's inaugurated the NEMCO. I think, according to him, they will take over the functions of those discos and help ease, you know, their services to people in the takeover.
So major headline, yes. So the Academic Staff Union of Universities are raising alarm, saying that a lot of lecturers are leaving the universities for a greener pasture. A lot of them are traveling, relocating. They will say they are going for holidays and then they don't return because of how the government has been treating them so far. But a lot of them during this strike are taking up different businesses. Some went into farming, other businesses, just to find a way to make ends meet. And so when schools resume, finally, after everything must have been sorted, they may not even know that's when it will dawn on them the number of lecturers that may not be coming back, and government needs to do something about this. And the fact that most of them are even relocating abroad, it's very worrisome. We're complaining that we are trying to rejig the university system, and then the little lecturers that we have are relocating. It's, you know, educational.
It's counterproductive.
Exactly, just like the medical one that's happening. So they are asking that the government sits up and
resolve quickly. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue with Front Page Review. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. So we're still reviewing the newspapers. Still in Punch, there's a story I wanted to take. The Ikoyi building that collapsed. Subscribers now are seeking for compensation. They said that the claimants, they've come together through their lawyer to sue the Lagos State government. And their main argument is, if the government is going to be acquiring the property that the building was sitting on, it would be tantamount, in my own words, to the government benefiting from the negligence of an agency under government. Because according to the verdict from the forensic reports, they put the blame on the negligence of agencies of government.
Agencies.
Yes. And if the government is taking possession of that land, it means that the government is benefiting
from your own
from the negligence of an agency under you. So they are asking to be compensated for all of those who have subscribed into that building. Now we're waiting to see what the court will say.
So
Nima, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, I'm just saying what the paper said.
Some public policy.
Like, I know Nima wants to, she wants to legalize the conversation. I really don't understand. We're waiting for the court to rule on the issue. We'll take the Daily Sun.
We'll take Nima's thoughts after.
And we'll take Nima's thoughts after the judgment has come in. Major headline, confusion. Shock over INEC manual result collation notice, which we have now corrected. Another headline that is confusing people. Paris Club refund, we've taken that story. Stalemate over unearned salaries. CSO vows to mobilize against ASU. Tom Polo, Ijo Youth, one Arewa counterpart over inflammatory comments. NDLEA intercepts 2.3 tablets of opioid going to 7 northern states. Kaduna terrorist warlord go into farming, hire locals as laborers. Over 353 inmates on death row in Lagos, and the grieved APC presidential aspirant senators revolt, accusing Tinubu Adamu of isolating stakeholders. So what story are we taking?
Over 353 inmates on death row. So according to the Nigerian Correctional Service, the NCOs, Lagos State, they said no fewer than 353 inmates are on death row at the Kirikiri Custodial Center. They confirmed the number, said about 210 inmates were also serving life jail terms. And according to them, they said they have 5 custodial centers in Lagos: Ikoyi, Badagry, Kirikiri, Female, Kirikiri Medium, and Kirikiri Maximum. And the Ikoyi Custodial Center was built to accommodate 800 inmates. However, it hosts about 2,400 inmates, while the Kirikiri Maximum Custodial Center was built to accommodate 1,006 inmates, and that has about 2,100 inmates. So they are saying now that the Medium Custodial Center, built to host 5,930 inmates, has even less inmates that it's supposed to be holding. And those people who are on the death row committed offenses like armed robbery, murder, treason, fabricating false evidence, death of an innocent person, aiding and suicide of a child, or lunatic, and kidnapping. And those people are on the death row right now.
Crimes.
So I really do not know how long they're going to be on that death row before. We don't hear of a hangman anymore. We don't hear of those.
Execution.
Execution, yeah.
Wow.
So if they've exhausted their appeal, it's proper to do for the governors. The governors are the ones keeping them. Okay. I hope that they know that taxpayers' money are also paying for
funding them.
So I wanted to take the anxiety over 800 billion Naira loan hold to the deposit money banks. So the Sun did a report that they got from the CLSL Stockbrokers Limited. And this report shows that about 562.9 billion is owed by power generation firms and independent power producers, while transmission and distribution firms owe 273.89 billion naira to the deposit money banks. And the banks, of course, are fretting over this issue. When the privatization was done in 2013, according to this report, there was hope that we would have reached 40,000 megawatts by now. But now we're still on 3,000 megawatts, and it's showing that, you know, it's not, all the money pumped into the sector is not being productive. It's not yielding the necessary results. The CBN also has a report of how much they've built out that sector to the tune of 1.3 billion in this same report, and how it's not really showing in some of these discos. So, as the government have said, they have already set up, in the first story I took in the Punch, a committee to recover about 4 of the discos. I hope that recovery of the discos will
does not affect,
because it was from PHCN, they moved to privatization, and now they're moving back to government. Just hope it works out well.
I want to take the story. Did you take an NDLEA story?
Yes, I did, but I took it in another paper.
Oh, okay.
And I don't want to give their own reports to the other.
Let's move on to Vanguard. Major headline: strike. Federal government considering ban on ASU. You are a source of inspiration to many. Omo Agege tells Olu of Warri. Train attack can't seek quick rescue of Azufa Lewis. Others. PDP crisis. Atiku camp may call Wike's bluff. Announce campaign committee. Adeleke to Oyetola. Stop diversion of government funds. And bandit kingpin. Dogo Gide. Seize large farm in Biringwari. I'm just...
Oh, God.
You did well.
I'll give it to Miriam.
I really wish that we took the story of the farm. This bandit that seized farm and is now hiring people as laborers.
No, I don't have it. I wanted to take it, but it wasn't in the paper. The headline is there, but the story wasn't there. So.
All right, so Olu of Warri.
Okay, so the APC governorship candidate and the senator what's his son? Well, a senator in Delta State, Deputy Senate President, was at the 1-year coronation anniversary of the Olu of Warri. Himself, the former camp president, Ayo Ikeja. And, you know, of course, it's an opportunity to laud His Royal Majesty, the Ogame of Ogame II. Sorry. If I ask, Ogame Atuwashe III of Ishekiri land. And so, of course, he was commending him, lauding his position, you know, saying he's a blessing and an inspiration to many, talking about how he's continuing to unify his people and the people of Delta State all together. And let me use the opportunity to say congratulations to the...
all of us congratulate
on his first year anniversary.
I saw a place where he was seated, and I guess the subject that, you know, from the place, they stop, kneel down and bow to him properly, and it does not matter their age.
That's how it
gave me so much pride, you know.
In our tradition.
Bumps.
Yes. He's a young king, but he's
been accorded the respect that he
deserves. It's his not him, not the age.
So
major headline, yes. Yeah. So the Ministry of Education have told I think they were talking to the Vanguard, and they said that if ASU refuses to reciprocate the federal government's gesture by calling off the strike, the government will consider the option of proscribing the union. So I don't know what they will be proscribed. And they were saying that the gesture the federal government is talking about is the fact that they have approved additional 100 billion for the universities and about 57 billion for polytechnics and colleges of education. They say they are not going to get involved in how it's going to be shared. They will pay to the schools, and the schools will carry out the sharing formula however they deem fit. And they said also they are reviewing the 2009 agreement, and they have approved 35% increase in salary for professors and 23.5% increase for other lecturers. Government also approved 50 billion for end allowances for the striking unions. And so it will be unpatriotic that after government has done all of this, or said that they will do all of this, that the strike continues. And if it continues, they are going to be proscribed. Also, on the other hand, is saying that this amount of money you're calling, You're saying you're going to put it in the 2023 budget, and they are not going to wait for it. They are also asking for their 6-month salary, that they are not going to take the no work, no pay policy. So everybody's still adamant as I speak.
Meanwhile, insecurity still is rife. So the story that we couldn't see in The Sun was actually in Vanguard. A notorious bandit, his name is Dogo Kachala Gide, had seized several farmlands in Biringwari local government area of Kaduna State. He has like 5 tractors that plow the large farmland, and is bordering on Zamfara State. The chairman of Biringwari Emirates Progressive Union has said that they've observed many farmers don't have access to their farmland. Some of them have to pay to access their farmland, and some of them, as a means of livelihood, are now laborers for the bandits. Said that some of these bandits, the bandits actually, there's no physical proof of a democratically elected leadership within the community. Yes. Bandits carry their guns, different types of rifle, on the streets within the community. He mentioned how, he said, farmers have paid millions of naira individually and in groups before they were allowed access to their farmland. Also mentioned that the community and bandits are going around with rifle unchallenged. In fact, there's no presence of democratic governments in this area. It is based on the situation that helpless locals were left with no other option than to accept the offer by bandits to negotiate for access for their land. The areas such as Katakaki, Ganda, Mashigi, Ginsa, Biskin, access to their farmland were not accessible for. They've not had access to their farmland for 3 years, and they have to go through the bandits. And I'm deliberately reading the story because sometimes it will seem like they are not. Some of the leaders are not aware. In case
what's
they don't
really
know,
happening, they would have heard
at least
now.
We have heard this
Vanguard
one.
has reported.
Vanguard has reported. Moving on to our last paper for today, Nigerian Tribune. We've taken the story about the $418 million Paris Club refund, but there are like 3 stories we haven't taken. Ogunkago Airport to accommodate commercial flights, how COVID-19 insecurity rendered businesses inactive for 17 free trades, active in 17 free trade zones. Resident doctors strike. We've taken that story as well. So, NDLEA, they say NDLEA has given us their reports again, and they're saying that over 2.3 million tablets of illicit pharmaceutical opioids and other psychoactive substances that were meant for distribution in Borno, Kano, Kaduna, Sokoto, and Zamfara, Gombe, and Nasarawa states have been intercepted by them. They said the total of over 2.3 tablets and capsules of tramadol, pregabalin, Hypnox, diazepam, and Exol 5. There are some other psychoactive million. There are also over 7,000 bottles of new psychoactive substance locally called Akuskura, meant for 7 states across, and they were seized from locations across Kaduna, Kogi, Sokoto, and FCT. There are other arrests that were made. There's a 60-something-year-old man who was arrested with illicit drugs that he would normally ship to his daughter in Dubai, I guess, for her to distribute, and so many other arrests.
That's a grandfather, I think.
It is well. We have Nkurumiri somewhere and then Akuskura somewhere.
I wanted to quickly say the story of the Ogun Cargo Airport. So presently, the governor has announced that they're building a cargo airport in Ogun State, in Ilashanremo. And that airport's construction started in March. They are looking to finish in December. And they want to break a record of the shortest time to build an airport. I would rather that they focus on the best quality.
But that's already on ground now. All of them, one doesn't have to go for the other.
No, it's congratulations.
Because they did not mention it. Please congratulate my
congratulations on the government.
No, they should.
No, we don't want to be renovating.
We have an airport that we're trying to, we cannot use
now. Okay, that's true.
This is Nigeria.
That's
so the reminder is good, but then congratulations to the Ogun State government for the speedy work in doing what they want to do. That's how we can take on front page review for today. When we come back, we go into the hot topic. What's hot? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Over the weekend, we got this sad news from the Chief Medical Director of Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Professor Adetokunbo Fabamwo, who said that about 35% of LASUTH nurses have eased themselves out of work. They've lost 35%. He said this, that about almost on a daily basis, he has to sign 3 to 4 resignation letters. He mentioned how, even though he has discussed with the governor has given the permission for the institution, that's LASUTH, to recruit new nurses, it still needs to be addressed. Spoke about how some of the retired nurses should do more to
make up for
the damage, make up for the ugly news that is going around. But we are going to be discussing the brain drain. We're going to be discussing brain drain in the health sector. We talk a lot about doctors, but now we're seeing 35% of nurses have left. Just one hospital is recording this figure, which means that if we are doing a census of all the other hospitals, we might be getting similar, if not worse, reports from them as well. We all know what the issues are, but the question is, what would we expect the government's response to be at this time to this particular situation? Should the government say UK should not give anybody visas if you are a nurse, or what can the government do at this point in time?
The government can only ensure by providing everything the hospitals need to thrive. That's all they can do. You can't stop citizens from deciding to seek greener pasture. You sure? You cannot. You can't make that law. It's not possible because, first of all, you are not the one that trained them in school. You did not choose the profession for them. And they are in a profession where it's no longer beneficial. They are no longer feeling appreciated in what they are doing. Everybody has the right to decide, okay, I don't want to be a nurse again, I want to sing. Would you stop me from following another passion if this passion is not paying? So what I see is the government needs to walk their talk. The government cannot walk their talk when they have an option. And I don't want to be sounding like a broken record. If we want to fix this, because I know that in every hospital that I have been to, the nurses are more of the bedrock, even more than the doctors. They do more of the work. The bulk of the work comes to their table. They are the ones that will take your vitals. They are the ones that would, take your, your weights. They will check you. They run the tests, the labs, and all that before they now bring in the doctor who just sees you, and probably there's a procedure that needs to be done. While in the theater, we have more nurses than the doctor. You could just have one doctor and several nurses who are assisting and doing everything. And Nigerians have had to resort to even nurses in their private homes to give them a form of treatment. So they are very important parts. If we're afraid that the doctors are leaving, we should be scared that the nurses are leaving, because that means a total decay of our hospital system will be happening. So government needs to tell themselves the truth. What can we do in terms of providing everything these people need? You travel abroad, you know how much you pay for the services. Why don't you ask, how can we ensure that these people are up to par? How do we ensure that they have everything that they need? A lot of them, you go to hospitals, you don't see oxygen, you don't see this, you are in dire emergency, and you are hearing things like you need to pay for this, you need to buy this, or this is not available.
Buy gloves.
This is not available at the moment. So the government needs to tell themselves, tighten their belts in a way that, for now, can they even stop traveling so that they will use these hospitals and feel what we are feeling? Maybe they'll sit up.
They don't want to die.
Now we supposed to die.
I'm in support of BC, but I'm not going to government. I thought it's far. Government in the hospital first. Let's stop ourselves.
Good.
And presently, since Friday, I've been visiting a public hospital within Lagos State, and to God who made me, the shock of seeing the urine from the waste septic tank float to the working area where people will pass, and the stench of it. I wonder, who is the CMD of this hospital?
It's been the same.
That
hospital
Thanks.
It has been the same since like 10 years ago when I gave birth there.
So all past CMDs of that hospital should be probed, because you know why? I was in a public hospital, the one I told you about. I was there. And even the FMC, that one in Yaba, I visit there regularly to see my auntie. I see the work the CMDs are putting in. That FMC, I will say it here. I don't know who the CMD is. I don't know his name. But I must say, well
feeling
done.
the impact.
My father-in-law passed in that hospital. I will say, well done, sir. There's even a lift. They put a lift for some of their patients who they see that there's a difficulty. They found that hospital that is as old as railway compound and found a way to put in a lift for their patients within that hospital under the watch of a CMD. President Buhari did not go there. The Minister for Health did not get there. Somebody is managing that place and thinking, I must do well under my watch. And so the nurses working under him will wait.
They'll be inspired.
But you see that one that I'm going now, I'm going to cover name because I'm hoping that I talk to the commissioner. That hospital, the CMDs, all past CMDs for 10 years behind, must be probed. As in, EFCC must be on their case. How can their water is not working? Patients carry buckets in this state of Lagos, inside that hospital. Nothing is working. The AC in a private ward is not working. Somebody goes somewhere to switch it off. I don't even know what they are running in that place. That place is like,
I think, please mention the name.
That place made...
Please mention the name.
Please
mention the
name.
name.
Allow this.
I will mention on your behalf.
No, when you are talking your own.
Okay, you know the place.
Because this goes, see, I know why I'm waiting.
Yes.
You know me. I know why I'm waiting.
Because there's still somebody receiving healthcare.
I know why I'm waiting on this. The truth is, Tokwe, in that hospital, it made sense to me. When I was on bed rest with my son's pregnancy in a government hospital, one of the doctors jokingly called us inmates. And we accepted the title. You know that sitting in that hospital made it make sense that this is really a prison.
Hey.
Somebody must be punished for falling sick to visit this place. I went in disguise till date. I think they don't know who I am. I've been going there since Friday. They still don't know who I am because whenever, we have to mark up. And I put on my glasses. I go in disguise. I'm sure if they know, they'll start to pretend.
There's nothing we can pretend.
See the state of this place. I wish Governor Sanwo-Olu will visit this place.
We need to mention the place.
Don't worry.
Yeah, no,
because
if you know the place.
No, they should go underground. Septic tanks caving in.
God, don't even mention.
The water in a hospital.
So,
government
because if we don't mention, people will not sit up. And sometimes we need to call people.
Yes, call them.
So
I believe that there are some people in that hospital who are hoping that you would say
mention
something.
the name.
Because there's corruption. Corruption happens everywhere. And there are some people that feel that if only somebody with influence...
It's the Bagada General Hospital. That hospital is not as old as FMC, as Island Maternity, and it is in that state. For mismanagement, the CMDs don't go far to government, leave government, because the funds that come to the hospitals come to the hospitals.
And
the funds that comes to the hospitals. You need to see that place.
Miriam.
She has said it all.
Yes.
CMDs, people will just need to sit up.
Yeah.
The truth is, the exodus of our healthcare personnel and workers is a symptom of what is really going on in our country. People would not leave if it was working well. And where they are leaving to, if it was the same as here, they won't go there. And if this was better, we will see an exodus of people from other countries to our own country. There is a fundamental problem. There's a problem of infrastructure, but there's also, for me, everything rests on corruption. Monies that have been budgeted and assigned for a project or for infrastructural maintenance and development is not used, or it is used half-half. Salaries are meant to be paid. There have been cases where we hear about salaries that were already paid by the federal government. The hospital administration finds a way to hold off on those salaries. They are not paid immediately because they have put them in some sort of account to generate some money for the, those in admin. And so all these things, whether we like it or not, come together, and then we have a situation like this. People would leave for economic reasons. Everybody is looking for better, a better life, a better lifestyle. And if your country can provide that for you, who would want to leave? It's unfair to call it, I think you said it's a sad, frustrating news, that the exodus of these nurses is a sad and frustrating news. The sadness for me is that we're not doing what we're meant to do. Is that our healthcare is falling on the wayside. The infrastructure, I know you're talking of this Bagada hospital, but there are so many other hospitals, government hospitals, just like this.
I have to My God,
see, you cannot even, there are some hospitals, you cannot use their bathroom. You'll be a patient in the hospital, but you will go home, use the bathroom, have a bath, and come back and lay down on the bed. It happens all the time in many hospitals. And the truth is, until we hear from the, like with us, we're hearing, okay, people have not paid us this amount, and that's why, until we hear from the CMDs of the amount of money that's meant to come from federal government and hasn't come to them too, you know, we are not sure of that. So everything is intertwined. ASU, it's not where ASU is one, is going on another, where on the front page today, they're saying that the ASU members are upset and they're also leaving. Everybody is upset. If we do not come together right now and face our problem, realizing that we ourselves are the problem.
Mostly the problem.
Everybody will just find their way out.
We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the conversation on what the government can do, what we can do as people to support the challenges in the health sector and reduce the brain drain currently in Nigeria. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the brain drain, specifically about the nurses. So we spoke about the fact that a report came out that 35% of LASUTH nurses had moved from their jobs. And even though the LASUTH management has the potential to employ, my worry is when we re-employ people, they don't have the experience of those that have gone. And Nima opened a can
of worms,
very, very
literal
massive
worms.
Can of worms about the management. Because what you condone will thrive. You can have a different management that does not condone filth, dirt, being late. I'm in school. If I'm 2 minutes after 10 a.m. in class, they close the door, no matter who you are. The door has closed. They say that's the LBS model. If you are late, you are not going to get into class. So by virtue of the environment where I find myself, I cannot be late. That's because the management puts in structure. So the conversation to all of us is about what are the areas of management, because it seems that we have to do the job of teaching and giving reorientation to some of our people, because they are used to doing things.
The job, Abby. So
they've been doing things a particular way, and so we need to now create a new structure, a new system, so we can achieve a different result.
So you've got a job to oversee the management of the hospital, and young people on the streets will be telling you how to do your job. We need to sit up. Nigerians need to do what is expected to do at the right time that is done. The issue of management is a problem that cuts across every strata of government. We have that issue, and that's why some people will swear that no matter what happens, they will never find themselves in a government hospital. Because we've had this issue for years, even growing up. It wasn't this bad at the time I was growing up, because then a lot more people were patronizing, even the government at the time, and leaders were patronizing government hospitals. So it was a bit better. But it's getting worse by the day. And we just sit down and nothing is happening. My question will be, what is the job of the Ministry of Health? What is their function? Do you give somebody a job, give somebody funds and resources to handle that job, and go and sit in your office? Who is supposed to supervise what the CMDs are doing? I was reading here some of the functions of the Federal Ministry of Health. It said it supervises and controls health facilities. It supervises hospital governing boards, government health agencies. The purpose of this supervision and control of health facilities is simply to make sure that a minimum standard in private and public healthcare facilities is maintained. Who is going around to ensure that this minimum standard is maintained? Nobody. So we have funds that are being sent to these government hospitals, maybe from the federal government allocation, and what they're supposed to get yearly. They collect this money and nobody's checking the standard of the facility. Nobody's checking the equipment. Nobody's checking the human capital. Nobody is checking anything. How can you go to a hospital and you are seeing septic tank? Nobody's checking. When last did an official of government go there to check to see that this hospital is in good shape? What will happen is when they want to come, they will announce, we are coming, and then everybody will tidy up. And after they are gone, everybody goes back. So we all need to take responsibility. The CMDs, the people in the Ministry of Health, they need to tell us what their functions are. It's taxpayers' money, and we're not getting value for that money.
Listen, you will not understand how painful this thing is. I still believe that there's ineptitude in Nigeria, but there's what's worse than ineptitude? There's I don't care ineptitude that is even worse than ineptitude. You know why I would say it that way? I used the government hospital. When I was in the mother and child care hospital in Festac with my son's pregnancy, my first 2 months were my best months there. I did not know the chief medical director of that hospital at all. I think Yaniwura or something. I did not know his name. But you know what? This man would make every single staff sit up. The generators were working. The AC was blast on. I disguised for 2 months. Nobody knew who I was. And I was on bed rest, and I was going to stay for 6 months because the AC was always cold. So I always had my blanket over my face. And I could stay in that way, in that position, for 2 straight months. Nobody knew who I was. The moment they changed that man, another person came in, nonchalant attitude, same thing. And everything started to go down under his watch. And the moment I started to say, I'm keeping notes, and a few staff will hear me say, I'm keeping notes, decided to say, how do we discharge this person? My consultant refused to discharge me, saying that, her case is not want to go home. She must be on bed. He kept saying, but if we can manage. I heard all those feedbacks. Because rather than do the right thing, you don't want to be exposed.
Yeah.
That's what is happening at Bagada. The moment you say, governor is coming, we, the people, the person who is supposed to clean the toilet, who did not clean the toilet for 12 hours straight and is closing his shift.
Let me tell you.
He's waiting for somebody to come and tell him that the money they are paying you for, you have not done the job.
Yep.
And the person is selling something inside the office, inside the hospital.
Yes. Everybody is selling market.
My sister.
Alaji, welcome to the show. Good morning. Olajumoke.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, software.
Good morning.
Ladies.
Good morning.
Actually, I'm the first.
Oh, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Concerning General Hospital, when I saw it on TV, I was so much interested. The government needs to check them. For me, I don't visit General Hospital because of what they do, negligence and all kinds of things. But the fact that they are public hospitals, the government needs to work on them. I think they need to adopt mystery shoppers. When they don't know people who are coming, they need to go around. They know what these people are doing. Not until when the governor is coming or when anybody is coming or when the commissioner of health is coming. That is when they need to sit tight. They need to adopt mystery shopping.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Olajumoke. And we've had that system before. I remember clearly everyone was always talking about how under the administration of former Governor Fashola, there was a lot of mystery shopping. You can show up in your local government. That was unannounced. He can show up in the hospital.
In disguise.
Of course, it would be easy to disguise for him because he never used to have entourage of siren blaring, but there were specific cases where he would come into the office in the civil service. Civil servants there were up
on their toes.
Because
they never know when
he could just come in now. And if he comes in and he sees you trading or doing what you shouldn't be doing, that's the end. So there was a level of everybody on their toes, and that's the power of leadership. And that's the power that the CMD has. It can make that change by just being there, and everybody will just sit up.
So you see, when we say that government, people in government, politicians, high, top-level people have to use the facilities we have on ground. They have to. Easy. You don't even need to be doing your disguise and coming in mystery shopping. You don't need to. If you know that your governor sometimes uses this facility, you know that your commissioner, anyone that could check and balance what is, you would sit up. So it's just easy. It works for us. So it's not when people, when we talk like this and people are saying, everybody has the right to travel abroad. Everybody has the, as a government official, the money I'm making to go abroad for my treatment is not the money I made from Nigeria. We get that. It's okay. We get it. But we're saying that you can make it better. If you use the facilities here, just knowing that the governor's child can be treated here, or the commissioner's child is treated, or a minister's child is here, or the minister himself, they will sit up. The CMD will be so careful to make sure that the facility under him is doing well. That the infrastructure, and then even you, when you come, you understand the infrastructure. Imagine if a minister himself is in a hospital, and then there's a sewage tank, open or smell everywhere.
If he's coming for his surgery, they would fix everything just because he's coming. Let's take this.
People will lose their jobs. So it's important that we use what we have, and then we understand exactly what Nigerians are talking about.
Exactly. Dukwe, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dukwe.
First caller.
Welcome to the show.
Okay. My view, what you are saying, all our hospitals in Nigeria needs to be taken care of. The government is not doing, they're not providing anything. The whole hospital is in a mess. Then that gives the nurses opportunity to be doing whatever they like. How do you go to government hospital and they turn the place to marketplace? Selling.
Everybody.
The nurse will bring his own things to them. Outsiders will come. They don't even have time for patients. The government needs to do something. The management too should do something to improve our medical care. Thank you.
So, I wanted to quickly say that, government is by, delegating. Government cannot be one person in one place everywhere. So that's why there has a CMD there, who's there every day to oversee that every other function, every other office is functioning. Whose business is it to not see a septic tank leak out or a dark hall in a hospital that you have to use your phone torchlight to climb staircase?
Wow.
When you know that staircase is slippery, who's supposed to make sure that this facility, when it's not working well, will write to the governor and ensure that the facility managers are called? Because I know Lagos State, under Ambode, we interviewed a facility manager who said they work for government. They have facility managers who will come there and say, water is not working, the staircase are not working, the rails are dropping, rusted walls within the hospital. This is not a hospital. And I know how much intervention they got during COVID because they had a COVID ward in that place. Things like that. The only place I had seen in that place that I had visited before that was working was the blood bank. Because I went to donate blood. We need to start visiting this hospital. And I will not stop using the government hospital, public hospitals. The reason I won't stop using it is as long as I'm on this table, I will keep using them.
I actually really trust the professionalism in terms of the skills that they have.
They do.
So I would think towards general hospitals just because of the quality of the doctors I will see there. But the facility will continue to... The facility so far has been frustrating. We really can never...
Workers' attitude. Yeah. Somebody has to check. I know they have the public charter. They check nurses. But when you come to that place and everybody's just... that means there's a corporation of corruption there.
It's become a systemic decay. Yes, it's become a systemic decay. We will definitely continue to talk about brain drain. It's something that is not going to stop anytime soon, and we need to keep reminding and pulling the ears of our leaders that majority of Nigerians still have to use general hospital. That's their only option, and they shouldn't have to use a place where you would not even want to step your foot into as their only resort for healthcare. That's what we can take. When we return, we'll move on to our Let's Talk for the day. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
For staying with us. So the Lagos State government has extended Okada ban to 4 more local governments and 6 LCDAs. The Commissioner for Transport, Dr. Frederick Oladeyinde, confirmed this development last week. We had the special advisor to the governor with us on Friday. And now we're going to be discussing the review. The decision was approved after a review of the earlier ban on commercial motorcycles in 6 local governments. So joining us today is the Professor for Transportation, Professor Samuel Odewumi. Now, you were formerly the Dean of the School of Transport.
Yes. And you know that is a rotating chair. Okay. When you serve your term, you leave behind. So
yes.
I've served about 5 years, and that's long enough.
All right. So now, one of the concerns that the average Lagosian has is that Lagos is never going to get, we're never going to have less population in Lagos. Lagos will continue to grow. More people will continue to come in, and our transport our current mode of transportation seem inadequate for the level of growth that Lagos is experiencing in terms of population. Based on your own analysis, you've been into this, you've been a dean for 5 years. What would you say we are missing? And would you say this decision is a decision in the right direction for Lagos State? Yeah,
thank you. It's nice to be here again. I was here at the time when we were calling out on Apapa gridlock. So today, nice to be in the midst of beauty and brains. It's always a pleasure. And you are doing the impossible task of merging issues of intellectual angle and human interest. It's a very difficult part to balance, and you are doing it very successfully. So I'm glad to be here. Now, on that issue of the Okada restriction or Okada ban, you will permit me to establish a German flaw for the discussion. That is, I will give an axiomatic statement, then I will follow it with 3 corollaries. The statement answers your question directly. That is, it is right, just, and courageous for Lagos State to have banned or to have extended or to have restricted Okada movement. Now, so the corollaries. 1, why is it right? Why is it courageous? 2, what are the consequences? Because whatever you do in life or whatever you did not do has their consequences. Then, what do we do? That's the 3rd corollary. What are the solutions to take care of the harsh decisions that has to be taken? So, stemming from the first statement, why the need for the restriction and the ban? First is security and safety. These are the most, I don't need to expatiate. People have said that several times. Then the 3rd thing is that Lagos actually had no plan in their master plan for Lagos transportation development for Okada.
Wow.
So it was not in the Lamata plan. That is Lagos State Metropolitan Authority, Transportation Authority. That's the organization in charge. So they did not plan, they did not input it. So, and they still did not want to include it. So that answers the 2nd corollary. So the 1st corollary. The 2nd one is, what are the consequences? The consequences is for both the operator, that is the rider, the passenger, and the government. Now, for the government, let me start with that. They need to do 3 things. More enforcement, because that's a serious thing. Education and enlightenment. Then, for the rider, that is those who patronize them, that is the passengers, they need to adjust to the new reality. When you have to go anywhere, start on time, and ensure that this is sacrifice for everybody. Then, for the operators, the question people normally ask, and which I want to answer right off, is what will they hit? They know that there will be unemployment. Yeah. But let me say this. Lagos cannot, and Lagos should not attempt to think they can provide employment for all the people that wants to come to Lagos to ride Okada. From Nigeria, Southwest Nigeria, Chad, Sudan, Niger, all these people are coming in drove because Lagos has become a huge magnet. And Kiniwoje, when they now arrive, if what they are eating is no longer sufficient for them, they start eating us, those of us that are in Lagos. And they've already started doing that. Yeah. All the problems you're having in the traffic, the traffic robbery, they did it to you. I experienced it. They break your car, they steal, whatever they can. It is because this food can no longer be enough for them. So it is becoming for Lagos, between the devil and the deep blue sea. And they just want us to jump into the ocean and swim. That's what they have to do, and that's what they did. So that is about the consequences. So consequences. Then what do we do? Now, I've mentioned for Lagos state government, they have to do serious enforcement. We all discussed that further down the road. I'm just establishing the basis
German
for
floor,
the discussion. now the German floor. For the Lagosian, as I've said, we really have to know it's a sacrifice, and we now have to not force. I, as a person, I see it as my duty to put it on the table for government that, look, if you cancel these people, consider e-hailing, which is more regulated. Because enforcement will be very difficult. I have no doubt for that. Because I said at the beginning that it is just and right and courageous. Because in Uganda, I was there when they were to do election about 2 years ago. Museveni, when these people were misbehaving, they called them border in Uganda. That is body to body. So they started misbehaving. Then I asked the professor of transport, a colleague, I said, why are these people misbehaving like this? He said, this is election year. No government will ever touch them. So it's courageous for Lagos. This is election year. To have made that, it's like a sacrifice. But I assure them, not all the Okada riders are registered voters in Lagos State, so they should not worry themselves about the blackmail of, okay, we won't vote for you. So these are the major things. Why it is right. Then there are consequences for what we have done. Then how do we accommodate the problems, the spin-offs from what we have done? So I think we can take it from there.
Yes, Prof, I like how you gave us this German flow, so a better understanding of what we're talking about today. But, you know, we've always suspected that if this ban happens, we're going to have a lot of crime in our hands. And some people are already facing the heat in different areas. The crime has sort of increased. They see a lot of young men who are displaced. We've heard in places like Ogun, Oshun, Amoteco is getting people who are still coming in droves with their bikes, their cow, and everything, and they're sending them back. Well, we don't know. There's no Amoteco parading the borders of Lagos, so we don't know if they are coming. They are still coming in.
They are coming.
They are still coming at this moment.
You will see them bringing.
Yes.
Although it has slowed down after the restriction, but they used to come in trailers.
Yes. So, and I know that aside from the fact that it's not in the main plan for Lagos State to have Okada. It's also because of the insecurity that we are facing. One of the reasons this ban is happening now. How does government ensure that these people who are displaced don't end up eating us, like you have mentioned? Should they just enforce the ban and face another direction? Or what can they do in addition to enforcing the ban that will allow Lagosians have a form of safety?
Yeah, as I said, Lagos is between the devil and the deep blue sea. They stop it, there will be crime that you said, there will be an upsurge. But it's less than if they keep them coming. Now, the pull factor of Lagos, we call it pull factor, things that bring them together. Now, but by restricting, banning, and crushing the motorcycle, they've established what we call push factor that will not make Lagos attractive. So the initial surge that you are having now has to do with what you expect when you throw them, and I'm telling you, it's going to be for a time, because everybody will go back to his villages and say, this. In fact, I have in my own village that said, Lagos is already crushing motorcycles. But they crush my spot, I have to go back home and do cashew farming that I need to do. So it is something that we have to face, or it will get worse. And as I said, it is not possible for Lagos. If you say, okay, let's find they must hit, it's not possible for us to satisfy the entire country, satisfy the entire West African sub-region and Middle Africa, because they will continue to come. And it will get, look, in LASUTH, we witnessed 2 events that scared me. This Okada faced the police. The police had to go into retreat. They wanted to come in and burn LASUTH buildings, and they smashed so many cars. When you see their number, there is nothing. The police have to retreat. And that is the beginning. So if you continue to allow it, it will go to a point that nobody will be able to enforce a law. You will be afraid. Like, as at now, no LASMA police can singularly enforce the law. They must be in a gang. You must have a task team going around before you can arrest any Okada man. So it is something we have to experience in order to stand the trial. So if we continue to say, what we did, and Lagos is not just capable. Is that it's not within the capacity of Lagos to take on that responsibility. So now the ban, you may ask the question on the mobility of the passengers who need to get to exam, who need to get to church, who need to get to job interview.
We would address the mobility.
Yeah.
We would address the mobility of, because that's a totally different, huge part that we need to talk about. When we would address it when we come back from this break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. We're still talking to the Professor of Transportation from LASUTH, Professor Samuel Adeyemi, and you'll be talking about the transportation challenges in Lagos, specifically the Okada ban and the expansion of the location. And you were going to go into mobility. You're going to talk about...
Yeah, that is what can be done to ease mobility, part of the third corollary. And that is that, one, the government must do construction sites and repair sites traffic flow management. If you look at 70% of the gridlock points where people become very desperate to join Okada is at where you have construction sites. And we've discussed with our colleagues, Frederick, who is the Commissioner for Transport. I've sent him a text that, look, in the past, and everywhere you go in the world, when there is a construction site, the first thing you consider is how will the traffic flow without hurting the mobility of people. Because in Yoruba, we have a proverb that says, that is, drive a dog is very sweet to eat for those who eat it. But because it's so fatty, it takes a long time for it to get dried. So we want to have road repair, construction, and all that. But we must move until... Badagry Express has been going on for more than almost 15 years now. So we have to be moving. We can't stop. So we say it must be... It's a rule. I don't know why all these construction companies neglect. When I teach transport traffic flow, the first thing is that when you are going to do a road, your first consideration, how will people move that it will not alternatives and the flow. That until you get that right, you don't block the road. But it gives most of our construction companies some sadistic pleasure to just block the road. That is it. That is it. To block, and they seem to enjoy the agony of the people.
Oh, I'm clapping. I will explain why I'm clapping. I'm clapping because we've had someone here, and I explained how on almost 3 ends I'm locked in. Yeah. And especially, I'm getting reprieve now because school is holiday, but like school run is horrible. Yeah. And she said, and even my colleague Nima said to me, that, enjoy it for now, you know, go through it. And I know that there has to be a science that shows that can help us do what we need to do, construction-wise, and still have
without
agonizing people. It's like it's the Nigerian way of doing things. We have to go through pain before we can enjoy
I've gone to some states in Oyo, for instance. I got a mentality from them that they want to make people feel that work is going on.
Yes. Oh,
I never thought of it like that.
Thinking. That when people go, we are constructing, so everybody will remember.
That,
so that is the warped logic in their mind. And we keep saying, you don't need to inflict this agony on people because you are constructing. It gives them, I mean, go to Okoko, Ikeja along. Most of these places, even Lekki, and I just noticed that we have dropped the ball in insisting, you want to block this way. What are the alternatives for the
Lord, help me.
So, to me, that's important. Second thing, which I've also suggested to our friends in government, is they banned those they could regulate, the old ride, old pay, and therefore, but because transportation is a derived demand, people just don't want to jump Okada because they love to jump it. It is because they are going to miss a very important engagement, interview, church, school, exam. I mean, a flight. Yeah. That's why you have to join it. So, but if you have a regulated one, like e-hailing, I mean, Uber, Okada, Bolt Okada, so people can make order and take it safely. And because you can know their number and you can restrict the number. Go to Kigali. We are just back from Kenya recently. The Kigali own is totally regulated. They are in uniform. In fact, they restrict them to zones. So that you don't have to cross the major express. So those are two things that is important. Construction sites, traffic management, and
reintroducing it
into
so
the mobility.
Yes, Prof. So I must say thank you, sir. Because the company, this issue of blocking the road, I said it to Miriam just to say, you've never experienced it, to enjoy it because we had to put up with it for 9 years.
That's it.
On the Badagry Express,
I see
falling into water. And the government kept saying, because construction is going on, no alternative, and they had an alternative. They could have done the Tedimu Road as an alternative to Badagry and the old Ojo Road, but they didn't do it. So my question is, instead of banning Okada, after people have spent money buying the Okadas, you know, somebody's going to certainly lose money. You're crushing Okada, certainly you're crushing somebody's investment. Whether it's the Okada man who brought his Okada here, or the person who thinks it's an investment, it's an economic empowerment to buy it for some people to work.
To run.
Why not stop the importation? Because nobody produces Okada here. That's a fact. Not even in Osin. Everything, when you talk about Keke Napep and Okadas, their parts are brought in and assembled.
And that's a great shame
to us here. But no, it's not a means of transportation we want to.
No,
we are not
what
Indians.
I'm saying is it's a great shame that we have to import Okada.
Yeah.
What rocket science is in the production of
Okada?
If you know the employment you have outsourced, that you have
for
exported.
Somebody else. But Prof, let's leave
that matter.
Because we don't want to even use it here. But why not put a ban on bringing it in? Because as we speak, they're still bringing it in.
Actually, why they cannot ban it is that it's not that they are banning Okada, it's they are restricting the use of it for commercial purposes. Because police will still use it for dispatch riding. We are still using it for logistics, business, that is deliveries. So we cannot, then too.
Let's put a general rule to ban it. And an exception for the purpose of importing it for certain of these areas you mentioned. Because the Honorable Social Advisor to the Governor on Transport was here on Friday, and he was saying that even for personal use,
there is a particular CC.
Yes, you cannot.
You know that so if you say that, why allow something that you know not allow somebody personally own and use?
So you know?
that exception. I'll take a call before you answer that question. Alhaji Subara calling from Alimosho. Welcome to the show. Good morning. Hello, are you there? I think we lost the call. So.
Yeah, I sympathize with him. To get into this call is a world call. I can show you at one day I attempted more than 97 times.
Wow. All right.
So now, the ban is a national decision. That is, Lagos State government cannot say I'm banning. No, it is, now that the discussion is at the national level, and say, okay, should we ban at the national level? Then the question of prohibiting or eliminating importation can be done. So I agree with you. It could be restricted. It could be regulated in a way. But for Lagos State government, they are doing only what they can do. It should be a national decision.
Okay, so let's talk about the positives that Lagos is doing. And we know that just a few days ago, the governor was talking about the Lagos Blue rail. So let's look at projections. He's saying something about a test run in December. So I'm looking at, from December going forward, what sort of Lagos do you think we'll see, given what is being put in place right now?
Now, if wishes were horses, of course, all of us will enjoy. If you check the matter plan, which is the organization doing the infrastructure plan, it gives you the vision of Lagos. Let me quickly
take Alhaji Subaru's back.
Okay.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Yes, good morning and good morning to your guests. Yeah, the prof and the other day.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yes, thank you very much. Straight to the point. Your guests have said it. If Okada rider is not in the master plan of Lagos State, why do they? You see, look, what is worth doing is worth doing well.
Yes.
If National State can cancel, if Kano State can cancel Okada, you understand? So what's wrong with Lagos State? You see, your prof has said something that before they consume us in Lagos, and in fact, it is not only last week demand, that like you mentioned, the confrontation between Okada and police. You can remember what happened at Gynaecology with the police. The same issue, you understand? And even in Lagos, you know the number of lives that has been lost. In Adetokunbo here, we know how these people move with dagger, with the police has even apprehended some of them. So, you see, look, I'm appealing to Lagos State. If it is not in their master plan, so the best bet is to eradicate it totally. If living local government or whatever, if Kano State can do it successfully, you don't speak the Okada in the Kano State. I'm going to Kano. Look at the federal capital do. Look at what's happening in Nasarawa now.
Okay. We'll let you get back to...
Yeah. So, actually, like he said, you can ban. But as I said, transportation is a derived demand. So, government, we are talking about what should the government do. We said, one, they can consider e-hailing to be regulated. Two, they should reintroduce the mode of hold. Yes.
Why, sir?
In the mall, go to Nairobi. You call it matatus.
Okay.
You construct, you see, the BRT we are using is psychedelic. But, you see, first of all, it's an imported thing. It's outsourcing the employment. Then maintaining it becomes a problem. If you get more wear that is well padded, not the iron skeleton of hold, when it arrives at a park, it mops up.
Isn't that exactly what BRT does?
For a particular lane.
For now.
There are hundreds of other lanes. Look, go to, for example, the BRT is not as efficient in the Igodo axis, even in the main spinal cord of Lagos. Areas. The spinal cord of Lagos is Badagry to Ekpe.
And there's nothing like
you
that.
You don't get...
okay, so we could introduce them there.
You see, the one BRT is partly government. And government cannot be as efficient as private operators. Okay. When you specify, this is the mode where 80-seater...
Let's not call it Molue, sir. It just doesn't feel...
I understand. I developed a paper in Nairobi about 2 weeks ago. I used Okada because that is the name. I can only do a definition of term. Mode where we resonate with people. It doesn't take me time. But because it has that negative connotation, that's why I used to say reformed mode. Okay.
So the goal is because it can carry a lot of people. Yes. And we're using smaller buses within those axes as opposed to big ones.
You cannot solve Lagos transportation problem with Koro Pays.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
That's true.
You need to get and it will become cheaper for people. To be able to... So
you asked the question before the caller.
Yeah, when we come back, she asked the question regarding the blue lane and all of that. So when we come back, we'll answer that question. Yes. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Well, Mariam asked a question before we went on the break concerning the blue line, which the governor is really proud of the achievements.
Very.
So
that's a major one. I told you that the spinal cord of Lagos State is that axis, that Badagry to Ekpe. I mean, all those major lines. Now, what blue line we do is to solve that main axis. But it's a segment of it now, from Marina to Okoko, or to wherever they want to do as phase 1. Then Agbara, and eventually it should get to Badagry. Because once you do that, you can only, because 3 things will happen. They are deflooding the traffic into the waterways. And you now have a rail, then you have now 12 lanes of road. Lagos can look for a paradise when that happens. It's just that it's taking a bit too long. But you see, there are other things that Lagos is coordinating with it. The green line, and to me that's very important. The green line is for the Lekki side, to complete that side, especially with the Lekki deep sea that is coming on in September, and for the Dangote fertilizer, your uncle. Petrochemicals. So we need to work on that. Then they are working on the red line. And that red line is being synchronized with the federal line, which is cheaper, which is the smartest thing to do. So once those 3 takes off, latest by the first quarter of next year, there will be a massive release. So all the Korokways, all the Kekes, they will now be first mile, last mile transport system that will be feeding all those major truncated roads.
So I need to take you into their Papa story. You know, you are very passionate about Papa. You've been on this show.
Oh, sure.
Talk about Papa. And it appears that the situation is tremendously improving. You know, last week we had the special advisor, Honorable Yua, and he was talking about, he was beating his chest that Papa is free.
The governor did it for somewhere else.
Yes, and the governor too is beating his chest that Papa is free. What have you observed?
Well, I'm happy to be discussing this because for some of us, that we are almost becoming professional critics. When you have an opportunity to do positive reinforcement, when something, the needle has moved, some people don't feel like talking about it. But for me, and for all of you, I congratulate all of you because all of you stayed on this case. And, you know, every time, the last time I came, I call out Mr. President, call out the governor, call out the minister, call out everybody, put their leg to the fire. And if you notice, there were now a flurry of activities. They went everywhere defending, doing this, almost abusing that maybe we were paid to abuse them. But, you see, we thank God they moved. And once people have moved, like I said in education, we call it positive reinforcement. Yes. When a child has done well, we say, look, this is fantastic.
Well done.
We have found it that it is 3 times more effective than scolding. So now I will not take away, although I will take a little discount later in what they have done. So, but let me tell you what they did. They took about, because of all your, you rant about it, and I love it, because that's the joy. Celebrate yourself, that your words got to the, because that last time I came, words got back to us that they were watching it in the ESCO.
Background.
They were watching your program. So look.
They watch you for ESCO.
Yeah.
That is to say, our Bagada story today.
Yeah, we resonate. We resonate. So I am happy to be back. So what did they do right? Because also in education, when you want to positively reinforce, don't say you are a good boy. No, that's not the way. Say the things he has done right.
Specific.
So, be specific. So when he has done wrong too, don't say I know you are a bad girl. No. You say these are the things you are good, but you got this wrong. Now, we have said all the things they got wrong. Now it's important for me, because actually we did a review, a research, and I thank Volvo Research Foundation. They gave us money to do a study on this e-hailing and Papa grid law. So we have identified about 8 items. I will just jump over it. It's not. I will not waste time on it. The number one thing they did, which, because if you say it to them, they will now know, okay, they will continue to do what they think is right. You know, I told you about 50% of the problem is returning of the empty containers. You must drop, or else you'll be paying for demurrage. So everybody is desperate to get it to the... So they now said, okay, you don't need to get it to the port. Get it to the holding base of empty containers. That one, first of all, cut the problem in half. So that is one. Number two, they demarcated what they call maritime logistic corridor. That is, look, if you are coming to Apapa from Ijora, there is a boundary. So you can't just go except you are needed in that area. If you are coming from Mile 2, they set you up and say, look, wait, don't enter this corridor if you are going to Tinkan until you have our say-so. So that is the second thing that is so powerful. It removes the rush into... Then, of course, in addition to that major blockage is what they call transit parks that they established in Badagry Road, that is close to Federal, Yanora, Festac, so that you go there.
So these days, the government or the...
The government, all the agencies that will call out that, they have to sit together. And I mean, the last point is in collaboration with all of them must collaborate. The state government, because we don't want to know whether... Then the landlord, that is Nigerian Port Authority. They, I said at that program that, look, don't confirm the appointment of Koko, Mohammed Bello Koko. I said it, and when I went to Abuja, I said it. Before the minister, don't confirm his appointment until he solves. So all of them work together. And that is the last point, that because they are all working to Lagos State government, who is the landlord, and the governor that made it part of his promise. So that issue of transit park, then of course, there is the Emilokan gate they did. They call it the gate.
Okay.
Brigade.
Yes.
So that when it is about your turn, you will move from the outside transit satellite park into brigade. I'm the one calling it to me local. Brigade. So in which case, when it is your turn, 5 minutes, you are in the port.
So those were the things that
those are the things they did. Then of course they did multimodal transportation. They put most of the materials on water. That is using barging. Across. Then too, they've repaired many of those roads and they've palliated them. Where they've not complete the then.
So they've done a whole lot.
They've done a lot. So then the one that for me is really massive, because we called one of their captains that was managing the port, Captain Ebibiogu, who happens to be a friend and a student. Look, what should be done? Because we now study the situation around the world. Actually, when you have a place like Apapa and Tinkan, it becomes a logistics city, maritime logistics city, in which case everybody must come together. It's not that Lagos State government will be giving license for location of a factory or a church or something that will be antithetical to traffic flow in that area. So when all hands are on deck, which they've done now, FRC, Federal Task Force from the Federal, Lagos State's LASMA, so they all came together and said, look, we must solve this problem for the country, and it's working. Then too, somebody asked me that day that, can somebody solve it? I said, look, there are Nigerians who can do it. I mentioned Fashola's name, but I don't know whether you will permit me. There's one officer I've been hearing his name. I've never seen him. If I see him, I won't recognize. One Fadikwe too. I told you that corruption was doing catwalk.
Yes.
So I asked my stakeholders in the business, I'm going to TVC tomorrow. How is that place? He said, no, they can no longer wear
they're not catwalking again.
They have gone to, sneakers. So
they
when they come. But they are still doing catwalk in Tinkan side. But that's in Apapa axis, they can no longer do catwalk, they be caught. So that is the situation for now.
Wow,
and those are the things that they are
I'm happy to hear this.
Well done, Prof.
Yoruba says, Etito Gbalo.
Ogboro.
That means the first person that hears the negative, we should also hear when things have improved. I'm really worried. I do real estate in the Ibejuleki axis, and I see a lot of work, and everybody is marketing with that place. And I'm worried that Ibejuleki might become what we're having in Apapa. How do we, we don't even have the time. We're going to bring you back. And we would like you to get the do the research on how to prevent Bejuleki from becoming the next Apapa Tinkan
but
crisis.
We are doing it right away.
Fantastic.
Right,
so we can scream it to the government.
Yes, beforehand.
Yes.
Fantastic.
You know, I told you that the green line is on the board.
Yes.
I think one of it quickly is that attention should be paid to that green line. And they should do a road that way. Then a pipeline.
Yeah.
All the fuel, oil that your uncle will be producing should
go through the pipeline.
Should go through pipeline so that they will not need to come to Lagos. That is it. The flood, people coming to strengthen Lagos to take
I know that will open up a way.
Yes.
Thank you so much. You know, this is what we've been saying, town and gown cooperating. We need to have more cooperation from our professors. Our economists should come up and give us the blueprint for solving inflation problems and come and scream it out. The politicians should listen to them. We heard you, they heard you, and they've done a lot of these things, and we are here to give a report. I'm really happy about the listening, our government's listening ears and action they've carried out, and we wish they would do the same with our economy and other sectors that need improvement. Thank you so much. We enjoyed the show with you. Ladies, amazing.
No,
wonderful way to start the week.
Discount. The Nigerian Port Authority, you are doing well, Lagos government, but this is the time to get it right because the volume of import has gone down a bit. So there is a respite for them to work hard now so that by the time you have a back surge, they will have been ready.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, sir. That's all we can take on the show today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.